Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am excited for another episode of the People of Packaging podcast. Every time I say that, I feel like DJ Khaled. And another one. And today we have my new friend, my brother from potentially the same mother, but we're pretty sure another mother, Steve Pyfrom. Steve is with The9 Digital. We connected through just a whole bunch of backstories about our lives, and we had a great conversation at the end. It was like, hey, you should totally 100% come on the podcast and talk about what you do at The9 Digital. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get going. Hey, good evening or good morning or good afternoon. I don't know if that, do you say good afternoon? Yeah, that's a word. Whatever time you're listening to this podcast, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. It's considered TV, right? I'm guessing. We're live on the YouTube. Live on the YouTube. Not in Belarus, though. Told. For paper, you have to flatten it before you receive. I'm guessing they don't crush everything before they're collecting paper. Like 3D objects get routed away. If you leave your paper like a box, if you leave it assembled, the likelihood that it's going to get back goes down. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to listen to the People of Packaging. Steve, here's the deal, man. I listen to a lot of podcasts, not about the packaging industry. And sometimes, and I need your professional advice because you live in Portland, Oregon, which means you have a very fancy mustache. You really like IPAs. You probably have very serious opinions about the type of roast of coffee you enjoy, and you listen to podcasts. Do I have this nailed?
You are 99.9% there. There's no such thing as a roast. Roast is like the barbecue.
Oh my gosh.
sauce.
Okay, we're enough. I don't need.
Sorry, you asked.
It's fair. That was actually the perfect answer.
I know.
You were like, actually, let me tell you about the body of the espresso doesn't come from whatever.
Right.
I feel like the 43-second intro to a podcast feels a bit long. Like it seems like all the podcasts that I'm sure the ones that you listen to, which are about like, I don't know, lion hunting in the middle of the savannah. They have like 10-second intros, right? Like they're very fast. I don't know. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, I love it because my son made it, but I feel like I have to commission him to make a shorter intro. What say you, Steve?
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'm used to. There's one podcast on sales that I listen to all the time, and they keep talking about this conference that's coming up, and it's very like limited edition, and you got to get your tickets. But they've been talking about that for like 4 months,
so it's like, not very limited. What's the sales podcast you listen to?
One of my favorites. It is the Sales Gravy podcast with Jeb Blunt.
Jeb Blunt, yeah, he's the best.
He's great. He's old school. And I love it and simple and yeah.
Jeb does some great stuff. Well, Steve Pye from Portland. That's fun to say, actually. When you said your last name, you're like Steve Pye, like pie from, like where do you get your pie from? I was like, oh, that's pretty fantastic. Is March 14th like is that like a national holiday in the Steve Pyfrom house? Like, do you guys go all out on National Pie Day?
You know what was funny? If you did not say National Pie Day, I would have been like, what the hell is that? Why is March 14th matter? But 3.14, there it is. See?
Yeah.
I got there. It took a while. I got there.
If you were in Utah, so we have a state holiday here. It's on July 24th, I believe, and it is Pioneer Day. It's a very big deal in Utah, but I'm told that there's Pioneer Day for the majority of Utahns, and then there's Pie and Beer Day for the non-majority of Mormons. So that's a fun thing. Anyway, now that we got all the important stuff out of the way, Steve, it was so cool to meet you, connect over our pastoral ministry backgrounds and how we've kind of brought this into various sales and marketing aspects. And so sure we'll have a great conversation, but why don't you do a lovely introduction about yourself that does not involve, technically, it's not a roast of coffee.
I'm going to go back there, bro. If you get it wrong.
Fine. Tell us why it's not technically a roast. Let me hear it.
Okay, so my first sales, I'll go to my background in a moment, but my first sales job was selling coffee. So selling coffee in Portland. So very, very snobby. Yes. And I always ask the question, how do people like their steak? And they're like, if you're correct, you say medium rare. If you're wrong, you say any other cook. So and I say, hey, if you like medium rare steak, how would you feel if I threw A1 sauce on it? And they'd be like, blasphemy. What the hell's wrong with you? And I
No,
said, that's
that sounds delicious to me, actually. So
okay.
sorry.
Well, then you are one of the blasphemous. Let me
I
teach
am.
you.
I roast my coffee and I put steak sauce on my steak.
Well, all I'm saying is that when we talk about light, medium, and dark roast, we're talking about the flavor profile that's been added because of how long you cook the coffee.
Sure.
So what you're looking for is, first crack, second crack, the right crack in the beans so that you can actually, you're bored. I'm moving on. Guys, if you're not on
I'm
video,
not bored. I am not
Adam
bored right now.
rolled his eyes. So very clear. There was a
No,
clear.
I had to look for the mute because I had to cough and I didn't want to just like all
Totally
over
fine.
the mic.
But
No.
if you want to talk coffee with me later, if you appreciate that, unlike Adam, you follow me on LinkedIn, we'll have a conversation and it'll be
Please
it'll be fun.
go
But
off.
nonetheless, no, it's all about the flavor of the coffee. Coffee's a fruit, should be sweet. Most people hate black coffee because it's cooked wrong or it's over roasted.
Yes.
But that's how you get quality beans. So if you go to the Starbucks in Japan and you go to the Starbucks in Seattle, it tastes the same because it's over roasted. So
Yeah.
there you go.
By the way, what? No, we're gonna hang out on coffee here. This whole
Love
podcast
it.
is gonna be about coffee. But I got to do a traditional Ethiopian coffee tasting at an Ethiopian restaurant in Fort Collins, Colorado. It was awesome. It was like 3 hours long. They made they took the actual like raw bean from the fruit and
Yeah.
did a little bit of roasting, and then they served it. It was very sweet, and I was like, wow, it kind of took me back. And they were like, we invented coffee.
Yep.
It's silly that you guys try to drink your coffee just black. Like coffee's not meant to be this like horrible, just like I like my coffee, just like grisly thing. It's like it's meant to be a wonderful experience. I was like,
It is. It really is.
I like it.
But nonetheless, a little bit of my background was in pastoral ministry for about a decade. Had to leave, had a family member get sick, so I had to kind of resign from the church and kind of had a midlife crisis, and then fell into sales and realized, wow, sales is the exact same thing. It's like, how do I help people? How do I fix problems? How do I meet people where they are? And I can cold call anybody because if you walk into my church, I'm going to walk up to you and shake your hand and say hi. So it's just whether it's in person or whether it's on the phone.
Yeah.
But to Adam's point, I've read maybe 70% of 60% of those books behind me. And there's a lot I want to throw out, but I just can't because it reminds me of my past.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, man. So sorry, had a little somebody just like walk up and I was like, hey, hang on, please. I'm talking to Steve Pyfrom. And he was like,
I'm doing
whoa.
something important. That's right.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. Ironically, he's somebody that I know through pastoral ministry, which is super funny. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, because I had the same sort of thing, not the same, right? Like, I didn't leave because of the same reasons, but I often thought like, why do people think cold calling is so hard? And I realized like I had a unique experience in that when somebody would yell at me on the phone, it was just nothing because it was like so inconsequential to life when it's like I knew this weekend I had to go do a funeral or
Yeah.
I had to go meet with somebody who was going through a really nasty divorce or whatever it was. Like those were my weekends. That was my me time, was hanging
Yeah.
out with people and oftentimes in their darkest moments of life.
Yep.
And so then to show up on Monday and call someone and just be like, no, I hate salespeople. You're just like, well, me too. All right. That was
Yeah.
it. Like I had no emotional
It's so easy.
negativity about that. So yeah, I totally agree. Well, so but I think that's an interesting story in of itself. The
Yeah.
coffee stuff is interesting, but the fact that you landed where you're at,
Yeah.
and the types of industry is why I was like, wait a second, maybe we should have you on
Yeah.
the podcast because you not only got into sales, but you got into a specific type of sales. At least you're in a specific type of sales now, which is tangential to the packaging industry. So what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I work for a company called The9 Digital. We are a primarily first manufacturing, marketing, digital marketing agency, and our goal is to really allow the manufacturing industry to get into the 21st century. As I've, walked into plants, all over Portland and other places, you've got those plants that are like strictly AI driven, where it's like robots and Amazon doing all the things. And then you go into a manufacturing plant, with Bob and Cliff, who have the paper that you pull on the sides, and they do everything by hand. So
Yeah.
it's
I
an
actually know
industry.
Bob and Cliff. They're great people.
They're great people. They're
Yeah.
great people, but they're trying very hard. But, in this day and age where everything is going more online, it is of primary importance that manufacturers get what they do out there, because it can be niche or it can be very unique. But they're still in a marketplace where there's competition. So
Yeah.
how do you, in a sense, tell your story, but also make money off of it? So the fun part for us is we strictly do B2B. And because of that, we don't care about shitty vanity metrics. Like, cool, you got some likes. We don't care. Does it actually lead to money? Because it's either PR, tell about yourself and raise awareness, and that should lead to money, or make money. Those are the only two options.
Yep. Do you when you talk about the company, are you pretentious like the Ohio State University? Do you really enunciate like the 9 Digital? There's like there's other 9 digital 1 through 8 digital, whatever, but like we are the 9 Digital. Do you have to like really drive that point home?
Well, we're the weak ones because 7, 8, 9. That's just the problem.
Oh yeah.
I slipped in the dad joke right there. It's a good one.
It's
Use
not a
that
good.
on your kids.
I don't know how
It's
to
a
tell
good
you
one.
this. It's not very
It's
good.
okay. It's fine. Friendship will grow, and you will like my jokes over time. However, no, I like in Portland, there's a hotel called The Nines downtown. But our firm started in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on 9th Street. So it just kind of kept with us. So when I say the 9, sometimes when I cold call, it's helpful because they're like, the 9, like the hotel. I'm like, no, we're,
We
manufacturing
can meet. We can meet at the hotel if you want to have our first meeting in the lobby. That's fine.
with snobby coffee all the way. You want to meet me with an espresso? Let's do it.
Yeah, that's great. So let's kind of combine these two things because I think this is fascinating. So first, I want to talk about your job in sales, and specifically, what is it that pastoral ministry helps you? I mean, we obviously the cold calling, like I'm just going to walk up and shake your hands. You're extroverted. Okay, that's fine. But extroverts don't always make the best salespeople, to be candid.
They're not. They're
Um,
not.
and so what other things about pastoral ministry were you like, "Oh, I didn't know that would help me in my sales and marketing job?"
Well, I would say a couple of things. I think first and foremost, to your point, nobody calls the pastor when things are great. Everybody calls the pastor when things are super off kilter.
Yeah.
So I think walking in and understanding that most people's demeanors are not going to be positive. Like that's something that's very, very helpful because it's like, water off a duck's back. It's like if I know that walking into a situation, I'm A, not going to get offended, B, not going to get thrown off, and C, I kind of know what to do. I would say, negotiation, whether it comes to like a contract negotiation or something else. I jokingly say I want the Michael Scott win-win-win dynamic, but the reality is they have a way that they want to win, and I have a way that I want to win. And I think that third win could be how both of our companies can grow. So coming in with that attitude of, hey, you don't have to say everything that I agree with, and I don't have to say everything you agree with, but I do think we could come to terms on something.
Yeah.
So I think that's something too. And then third, like not being attached to the outcome. I think in pastoral ministry, like there's no end goal. Like the end goal is to grow and become like Christ. So there's no timeline on how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Growth for people are different. And so for me, when I come into a sales conversation, I'm pretty detached from the outcome because ultimately, like the outcome's going to come if it's going to come. But if it's
Right.
not, then that's totally fine because I can't control like whatever salespeople's like. I can control every conversation. I'm like I'm going to call bullshit on you right away. Sorry,
Right.
it's not real sales. So yeah, I would say those things, understanding how counseling, help negotiation, or like anything is a crisis situation. So numbers on a page aren't really a problem. Like it just, here's what real life is and here's what business is. So
Right.
let's figure it out together.
And shout out to Josh Brown or Braun, right? Like, I don't know if you do you follow Josh much? He's got
I don't no, I don't know Josh.
for real?
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, Josh Braun, Braun. I say Brown because I'm a Denver Nuggets fan and we have Christian Brown,
Yeah.
but anyway, but Josh is a sales leader. He's tremendous and he's got a whole thing on detached from the outcome. Like he's
Yeah.
got a ton of great content about and I loved it because I felt the exact same way. It's like if if I can fall in love with just the process, like
Yeah.
if I just do the right things, then I've had a great day. If that
Yeah.
leads to sales, awesome. If it leads to a no, fine. Like there's really like three possible outcomes to a sales call. One of them is yes, and that's great. One of them is a no, and that's pretty good. And one of them is maybe, and that's the worst. But if that's the worst outcome of someone's just like, I'm not really sure, you're like, you got a pretty good life, honestly. It's not so bad. I love that so much. Um, that's super cool. So then when you are out there now, you're calling on manufacturers
Yeah.
and you're probably not trying to displace somebody. Occasionally you might be, right? But I'm going to guess for the most part you are trying to not just say like, hey, change from the 8 digital to the 9 digital, but rather you need to, sort of, I'll use you need to be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Oh
And
wow. Oh
I know,
wow.
I
Here you
know.
go.
You need to repent and go 180 degrees the other direction. Like you're asking them to make usually a pretty big change
Yeah.
and spend money in a place that is not A, in their budget, and B, something that they have ever really had to do.
Yeah.
That's gotta be, I gotta admit, that's gotta be a tough situation that you find yourself in. So what what has that been like for you trying to talk to people? Well, it could be let's just say it's a packaging manufacturer. There's a lot of people who manufacture packaging in the
Yeah.
Northwest. There's a lot of them as well. What is that like trying to talk to somebody ultimately to try to influence them to change what it is that they're doing?
You could say that I've always been in the business of conversion. So
Hey,
I'm kind of but so I'm used to, like I mentioned before, I'm used to people's demeanors, especially when they come to salespeople. So I always call myself a sales professional, and I try to live up to that standard. But for me, my title is the head of strategy and sales at the 9. So ultimately, when I want to have a conversation with somebody, I want to walk in, book a meeting, and then pump the brakes. Because ultimately, I want to come alongside what their vision is, what they're trying to accomplish, and then see if I can help them. So
Mm,
all that even psychological language of is like I'm detached from the outcome rather. I'm able to come alongside them and say, "Hey, what are you trying to do? Okay, we're producing sheet metal. Okay, but why? Why are you producing sheet metal? Well, because people need it. Well, why do they need yours versus somebody else's? Just trying to kind of breed down their mission, their vision, their values, what they're trying to do, and then tell that story in a way online that can bring more people in. So
mhm,
it's more of a true discovery conversation as well as a strategy. And unfortunately, I think people have come across agencies where it's product first and then people second. And I want to, I want to be the guy who's people first and then products or services secondary. Because
right.
ultimately, even if they say no now, I'm still leaving it in a good taste. So when I call you 4 months later, it's gonna be like, hey, that was the guy who had a conversation with me that treated me like a human, but also wanted to help solve my problem. So I think for me, that's what I'm trying to go into. And yeah, do we have unique approaches to things? Absolutely. But I'm just trying to solve a problem. But this is an industry that people think is like voodoo witch doctor stuff.
Well, it
So
is.
it's like, yeah, or digital marketing. They're just like, hey, what is it? What is it? What do you actually do? I'm like, there's a lot of science behind it. And they're like, I just like my coffee black. I'm like, there's a lot of science behind that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's that whole thing.
What is it you'd say you do here at Initech? Um, so let me kind of, I'll sort of flip that question then over to you, because when you're
Yeah.
asking the sheet metal person or the corrugated box manufacturer, whoever it is, like,
Yeah.
well, then, why? And then like, well, why would they buy from you? So, Steve, why would people, why would somebody, again, it's hard to say because it's a general question, but like, what makes you guys so special versus the other SEO agencies that I can Perplexity, Grok, Chat GPT my way to?
Yeah.
Like, what makes people reach out to you guys and go, actually, you're the best. You're the best for what I need right now.
I would say a couple of things. One, we have been in the digital marketing space since Google's inception. We've had guys on our team who have been around for 20 plus years doing this. So I think if you talk to most manufacturers, there are guys who've been in the trade for a long time.
Mhm.
So I think if we just say, hey, we haven't just hopped on the train and said, hey, let me build you out an SEO strategy by typing it into Chat GPT, like that's not going to care for them. So I think the long-term expertise we have in the industry has been one, but also our unique approach to it. Like I mentioned, we're trying to solve somebody's problem, but I'm not going to sell you anything unless I know if you have a problem. And second, if I can fix it. So I think the approach matters a lot, but also, we have a unique perspective on doing predictive SEO. Most people, take a look at SEO and they think of, old tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs or, keyword research, and those are all necessary. But we have access to proprietary tools as well as expertise that can help us forecast where Google's going. So then when AI mode hits, everybody goes, holy shit, what are we doing? Like the world's falling apart. And we're like, no, 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 it's not falling apart. We're good. We got you. So yeah, I would say that those are the things that are different, is the approach, the expertise, and then the proprietary nature of what we do.
Sweet. If so I've always thought this was fascinating. Where would you show up? So if someone is in Portland, Oregon, and they Google searched a term,
Yeah.
I was always like, I wonder if I would use that as research to be like, I'm looking for somebody who's really good at SEO. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to go in and I'm going to Google search the
Yeah.
best SEO company. And you would sort of hope that like not the paid ones, because that's just somebody who's paying a lot of money, but like who's the first couple people there on the organic search? I always find that to be like an interesting study. So what would people search on Google to be like, oh yeah, I found these guys are number one? Obviously, if they Google search The9 Digital, Steve Pyfrom, Portland, Oregon, if you're not
Yeah.
first in that, I'd be a little disappointed.
Let's first Google myself. Let's see how I'm doing. So first,
Well,
good
this
news
is
is
a
number
this is
one.
a family show, sir. You cannot just be Googling yourself on screen.
I did, and it's great. Good news, I'm in the top 4 organic for myself. So there's not very many Pythons around. But there's an approach, because I've had people say this, hey Steve, let's say best manufacturing. Let's see if I can type manufacturing marketing agencies. So, I mean, if I type in, that, we can take a look at all the sponsored and scroll on down. You've got Gorilla 76, they're big dogs in the space. And then you've got others. And then if you, type in Portland, Oregon, we're like 6th or 7th on the list, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like for us, the goal is in SEO strategy, you want to have branded traffic and non-branded traffic. And what most people think is like, hey, they got to search you by name. I had a customer one time say, if you guys are so good at SEO, how come I can't find you? I'm like, what'd you type in? It's like The9. Okay, so that's also a number. That's also, sequential order. That's also like, just because you type in the number 9 doesn't mean you're going to find us. So I said, ultimately, we want to be known for what we do as well as who we are. So, if I want my traffic to be a blend of both. If you're Nike, that's fine. Everybody just types in Nike and finds you. But the 9 isn't Nike. So it's
It's
that
pretty close
dynamic.
though. It's just one
It's
letter.
it's very it's one letter. Look, you're
Yeah.
so good on the fly, Adam.
Thank
Look
you.
at you.
Thank you. I did type in the 9 marketing, and guess
Yeah.
what? You're number one, just so you know.
Oh, cool. I love it.
That's cool. So manufacturers, as we kind of wrap up here, so packaging people, here's the deal, and I'll make a little bit of a pitch here because I think it's important. I spent 3.5 years of my career buying packaging, and I will tell you something. Nobody will really admit this. It is a horrible experience trying to find somebody to make something for you. And I
Yes.
get people that hit me up constantly on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm looking for someone who can make this. Hey, here's a picture. Do you know anybody who makes this? Do you know anybody who can fill this? Like, I've become the de facto search engine, and that's bad for you because it means that nobody can find you. And so there was a moment I went to a Pack Expo show, which is you guys should go check that out. It's an awesome show. It's filled with like 65,000 attendees, all packaging, manufacturing, distribution, design. It's an awesome show.
Love
Vegas,
it.
or I think it's going to be in Vegas this year. Chicago, it
Cool.
bounces back and forth. So shout out to Pack Expo. And there was a guy there who had this small little booth, and he had a thing called the box latch. And he just made this little device that when you had an RSC box and it was a work in process, that you didn't have to tape the box shut anymore. You could just slide this latch on. It's an ingenious little device, tiny
Yeah.
company. My buddy Corey, shout out to Corey Connors, made a little video, put it on TikTok, millions of views on TikTok. Oh my gosh, where's this been all my life? That guy, his entire he wrote Corey. He was like, Corey, I've had my best month ever, and it's not even
Yeah.
close. Like, and the
So
thing
cool.
was, it's not. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you guys don't do like TikTok strategy. Maybe you do, but the idea was like, if you have no online presence outside of a website that you developed in 2011 with like if and that's a lot of people. They just made a
It is.
website. It's a static website. They threw it up there. It's got some pretty basic information, and then that's it. But if if that's you, there's so much revenue to be gained by just being easy to find. That's
Yes.
it.
Yep.
And so I want to encourage people to reach out to Steve, that are maybe in that boat, and just have a conversation with the pastor. Just go in the confession booth and just say, "Listen, forgive me, Steve. Forgive me, Pyfrom, for
That's
I
easy.
last updated my website in 2008, and I don't know what to do." And
There
Steve,
you
I
go.
think you're somebody who would sit down with that person and say, "It's going to be okay. We're going to
Yeah.
get through this."
That's right. That's 100% right.
Well, how do people reach out to you besides Google searching Steve Pyfrom?
Yeah, Google search Steve Pyfrom because Adam doesn't believe me that I'm number one. So I should be number one. No competition there. No, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Love the community. I promise I won't sales pitch you. Gosh, salespeople are the worst on LinkedIn. They're just terrible. All they want to do is just tell you what they want. It's like, no, it's stupid. But
It's
yeah,
like,
reach out.
please send me more Calendly links and PDFs of all of your products. It does
Yeah,
not work, everybody, on LinkedIn. It's a terrible idea.
no, it doesn't work. But no, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm strategy first and sales second. It would be great to work with some of you, but we might not be the agency for everybody. So our
And you
hope
do
is that
SEO. You do SEO. What other types of strategy do you do?
so biggest things we do. So we were a website development company first and foremost. So and this is really kind of that foundation. So if I were building a marketing strategy from scratch, you need to have a solid website that does more than just an online business card. You
Mhm.
need to have calls to actions. You need to have options of people to get in contact with you. So, website built properly, number one, not just, random Squarespace or Wix or whatever that just gives you a template, like a really good website that will help. Second, SEO. It's the foundation for long-term growth. So if I'm talking to somebody, you got to build the foundation first before you build your house anywhere else.
Don't build your house on a sandy land. Don't build it too near the shore. Oh, never mind. That's taking me all the way back to VBS.
All day. So website first, SEO second, and then paid media. So paid ads in Google always have a place. So what I want to say is, start SEO and slowly grow your authority over time. But until you get there, let's buy some space at the top so your ad spend gets lower and lower and lower as your organic authority gets higher and higher and higher. So those are really kind of the three largest. We do content writing. We do manage SEO, or not SEO, but social media for people too. But it's all about, what do you need? Do you need sales? Do you need PR? And how can we come alongside you?
I love it. And it would just like a good side hug, just a good Christian side hug. Just saying, hey, we're here for you. That's great. Well, everyone, check out Steve. I'll make sure that Steve's LinkedIn is in the show notes so that you can just click it and head on over. Check out what they're doing over at The9 Digital. Follow Steve on LinkedIn for some wonderful advice. Steve, you got to go follow my guy, Josh Braun. You'll love his content. I think he's doing some great stuff. So appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to connecting and talking about coffee again soon.
Awesome, man. Thanks for the time. It was so fun.
Yeah, for sure.